is Raden Ayu Nabila, and today I will discuss about our chapter 4 about leadership and power and influence. Uh, Harry Harry S. Truman said that if a man can accept a situation and power of place without the thought of any, if on it's only temporary, he comes out all right. But when he thinks that is the cause of the power, that can be his ruination. Leadership. Uh, Transactional leadership is a transaction or exchange process between leaders and followers. And for transformational leadership, is characterized by the ability to bring about significant change in follower and and for the organization. Next up, transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is to develop followers into leader, elevate concern to a higher level psychological need, inspire follower to go beyond their own self-interest, and paints a vision of desired future state and how the change is thus worth effort. Transformational leadership also will bring you to can communicate complex ideas in compelling manner, act in unconventional manner, inspired faith, earn trust by willing and curing great personal risk. Source of influence is personal characteristic. Okay. So charismatic leaders are the leader who have the ability to inspire and motivate people to do more they would normally do, and despite obstacle and personal sacrifice. And black hat charisma, uh, use of for self-serving purpose, deception, manipulation, and exploitation of others' personal behavior. And for power and influence, power is the ability of one person or department in an organization to influence other people to bring about desired outcome. And for the influence, uh, it's the effect of person action have on the attitude, values, belief, and or art action of others. There are 5 types of leader power. Uh, they split into two: position power and personal power. And for position power, it's legitimate, reward, coercive, and for the personal power, uh, it's the expert and the referent. For legitimate power, authority grant from a formal position in organization. Uh, right, responsibility, and prerogative acquire to anyone holding a formal leadership position. Also, set goals, making decisions, and direct activities. That is the characteristic of legitimate power. And for the reward power, the authority to bestow rewards on other people. Usually, appointed leader may have access to rewards such as pay increase, promotion, physical resources, and influence subordinate behavior. And for coercive power, authority to punish or recommend punishment. Opposite coercive power are the opposite of reward power. Right to fire, demote, criticize, and reprimand or withdraw pay rises. And for expert power, the result from special knowledge or the scale. Followers go along with recommendation because of his or her superior knowledge, also usually gained from the experience. And for the referent power, comes from personality character that common in the identification, respect and admiration so that others want to emulate the person. Dependent on personal characteristic rather than the title and have the strong identification with the leader. Uh, there are responses to use of power, possession power, of appropriate use is as compliant, and for excessive use is a resistant. And for personal power, will use commitment. And for the dependency, it's if a person has control over resource that desire, he or she gains power, information, uh, cooperation, and resources. Characteristic and power in organization. Leader has control over uh, resources seen as an unimportant, uh, resources seen as very important. There are the differences in here. Widely available resources called scarcity, and also scarce resources. Resources with acceptable substitute and resources with no substitute. And for the low dependency on leader, or called lower power, and high dependency on leader, called higher power. Now we move on to strategic contingency that affect leader power in organization. What can increase the power? There are mentioned for here intradepartmental dependency, control over information, organizational centrality, and coping with uncertainty. Okay, politics are activities to acquire, develop, and use power and other resources to obtain desired for future outcome when there is uncertainty or disagreement about choices. Political activity, impression management, uh, the activity people to seek to control how others perceive them. And for executive president, the impact that you have when you walk in the door. Seven principles for setting leader influence: use rational persuasion, make people will like you in the first impression, rely on the rule of reciprocity, develop lie, ask for what you want, remember the principle of scarcity, and extend formal authority with expertise and credibility. These are the guidelines for ethical action. Uh, for ethical choice is the action consistent with the organization goal rather than being motivated purely by self-interest, or does the action respect uh, the right individual and group affected by it? The action meets standard of the fairness and equality, and would you wish others to behave in the same way if the action affect you? Okay, I think that is the end of the presentation, and thank you for your time. Things enough for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.